Okay, mic is working. Welcome back, all. This is Babbaginator. We're in Long Dark, currently hanging out. We're ready to head out here. So what do we have on us? Guts and hide. This. We are running low. Not yet. Not that low on food.
Is getting kind of heavy.
So it is almost time to know too much. Getting close. Oh, I had a pretty unproductive today. It's fair to say I spent I looked over my list of things to work on today and I was like, I have no feedback yet on this and I'm waiting for feedback on this thing. So really 2 projects with very little feedback, at the start of the day. And so I did a little bit of documentation. I started migrating the code base over to the next project and cleaning up the code so it would be a little bit, I don't know, just cleaner, easier to read, easier to adapt to the next project that isn't like exactly like this one. And then my boss, or not my boss, professor I'm working with on this other project asked me to file a ticket with the university IT services to see if we can get any help on this other thing, and it apparently got redirected back to a team that we've already dealt with in the past who tells us they can't do any support. So that was a dead end. They offered another team to possibly talk to, but I think we have already worked with people affiliated on that team, so we've already exhausted that avenue. So not positive though. Maybe it's going to be defined differently. Because the person we worked with in the past belonged to a different team, and then the teams are being merged.
Too heavy to carry.
Astrid knows everything, yet earns nothing. It's very true. If we want to ensure that we have lots of food, we could just start picking off the deer. It's just that they run a long ways, and we don't have a lot of arrows. So I finally heard back from the first team, and they basically said, well, they gave me a list of things to follow up on. Things that are supposed to be working that apparently still are not working quite as intended. And I'm not entirely certain why they're not working, so that'll be fun to work out tomorrow. Oh, in my Friday night, well, my Wednesday night game, which was going to move to Fridays, You know, we've been doing board games on Fridays. Well, now that the semester started up, it seems that we'll actually be moving to Thursdays instead. Oh. So yeah, so I'll have to move one of my streaming nights, move my Thursday streaming night to a different stream, a different night. I don't know if that'll be Friday night, or if I'll take advantage of Friday night being open to do other things. In theory, I could like have a social life. Okay. We don't need anything else here. We want the guts? I guess we could take the guts. Can we cook up here? Oh, we can. Yeah, so I pitched a bunch of different ideas for the new fall campaign, and there was a lot of indecision. The two biggest, like the votes went mostly to a shipwreck campaign. Basically, they're aboard a ship bound for someplace else, each of them with their own little missions and
Come on, little fire.
secrets, and something goes horribly wrong, and they find themselves washed up on an unknown shore.
Perfect.
Not at their destination. But apparently people like that idea, even though it does feel kind of cliche.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
And then the other one that people liked was starting off as the remnants of a circus troupe in which the ringmaster, the ringleader, has died in mysterious circumstances. They like an unfortunate, an unexpected owlbear accident. And has left behind massive debts, and the debt collectors come by and threaten to take everything, but the debt is cleared by a mysterious benefactor, a merchant who's kind of shady, who asks them to take care of a small matter. Wow. Good storm. Yeah, we're going to be here. I might as well do some water. I think we have the water tablets. We can do that. So yeah, so what I think we're going to do then is we'll probably do a combination where it will be the shipwreck one, but the option is open for people who want to play someone from that circus troupe. I just thought it would be funny if everyone started off as a member of, like, there's the strong man, there's the fire breather, there's the knife thrower, you know. So I think some people will do that. Hmm. Did the fire go out? Fire went out. Guess we'll just work our way all the way back. Oh, that's why we needed to be out here. Cabin fever. So among other things I did today, since I ended up finishing up early, I really couldn't figure out what else I could work on. So put in about 2.5 hours of work, and then I was like, I don't really have anything else I can bill. So I decided I'd just take a break and go to Value Village, so a thrift store. And I went there a few weeks back, and I was able to pick up some I picked up some decent ties, really good quality Italian silk ties for pretty cheap. So I figured I'd try again this time to see if I could find some more. Good quality ties, relatively inexpensive. And I think someone's on to me because, well, I still found some pretty good deals. I also found that a number of ties had been jumped to, had been raised to 25 or 28 bucks. I was like, gotta be kidding me. It's like, honestly, I thought I was doing them a favor because not many people buy ties. and especially older ties. So I've been buying ties that are, so the standard, the regular trend for ties these days,
This'll come in handy.
fashion-wise, is to they generally favor the narrow, skinny ties. But here's the secret: narrow, skinny ties do not actually look good on certain body types. If you have a pretty narrow frame, like you're already kind of slim, skinny, then that's the type of tie you want. But if you're a wider frame, you actually want a wider tie. At least you can pull off a wider tie. And so yeah, so I've been looking for those ties that generally get ignored because they're not fashionable, like in terms of the size. And usually I'm able to buy them pretty cheaply. But yeah, some of the ones I wanted to get were overpriced. I mean, they're not overpriced. If I were to buy them new, they would actually be pretty pricey. But overpriced for a thrift store, I would say. It doesn't really understand who their market is, unless they're expecting a lot of people to be flipping them, and that maybe that's what they thought was happening. Okay, so it's still early. We could do that. Bow ties. I have not seen very many bow ties on offer. I picked up, I think it was this yard sale, I'm not positive, but like a bag of bow ties a number of years ago. And that included the full range from regular bow ties to, more of the clip-on type bow ties. And yeah, I actually got a fair bit of use out of that. Not constantly. I wasn't wearing bow ties that often. I guess a fair bit of use is wrong. I was like, there was a year in which I had a Halloween costume that involved a bow tie. I had a kind of a pseudo black tie event where I kind of mocked up a tuxedo. I had a black suit and I had a shirt that would pass, and so I used one of the bow ties for that. And I think there was like a third occasion where I used a bow tie. It was like, that never happens. But since I had them, it was convenient, and I didn't have to spend a fortune on, not really a fortune, I didn't have to spend time trying to track down a bow tie and then worry that I'd spent money on something that I was never actually going to use. So I picked it up so cheap, practically given away. It's also been a while since I cooked bow tie pasta. Yeah, I have to say I've never been a huge fan of bow tie pasta. I'm more of a penne pasta. More like regular spaghetti type pasta. Okay, I think the storm has ended. We need to get back on the road.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Oh, spooky. some of the new like environmental noises really catch you off guard. So yeah, I picked up 3 ties, and I also got a nice like silk rayon shirt, like a short sleeve shirt that felt very summery. Like it had a nice pattern, was light as opposed to dark. It looked like something that was missing from my wardrobe. And when I put it on, I was like, this really looks nice. I think I would wear this. So I was like, no, I'm gonna wear it.
Barely walk with this much gear.
Yeah, a lot of times, last year or so, I've been thinking a lot about how I am very late to figuring out my own style. And I don't think I've completely figured it out, but I am getting closer to figuring out what I like. I mean, in the past it was very simple. It was just like, okay, I just wear like graphic tees that have D&D, like RPG or cats on them. It was a very simple thing. But it was, I mean, it still is kind of a reflection of personality. But those don't work on all occasions. They make me look like a gamer and they make me look like a programmer, but they don't necessarily make me look like, I don't know. They don't work for all occasions. So I guess I could put a cardigan over, you know, dress fancy with a cardigan, right? So, so I've been like, and then when I started the library program, it was like, librarians wear cardigans. I kind of like sweaters and cardigans. Maybe I'll give that a try. So I invested in some cardigans, and I still have a fair number of cardigans. But that's not very useful for summer. So this summer has been more of an experimental period of trying to figure out what works short sleeve wise, what I can get away with shorts wise. I don't really like short shorts, so I haven't done that, but I don't want to wear these massive cargo shorts that are practically capris, right? And it was like, that also doesn't quite look right on me, so yeah. A first hit. Oh, my high timers loves? My high timer love? My high timer. Trying to figure out how to parse that. Anyways, welcome in. Do we call you my high? Do we call high timer? Sloves? What's up, sloves? Right? Like that. But yeah, welcome in. We are in the middle of our Interloper challenge run. This is actually a custom interloper. You can read a little bit more about it here. I am from Vancouver, BC. Although I grew up all over the place, so where am I from is complicated. So I guess in terms of my heritage, I am part Chinese, part Scottish, part English. I was born here in Canada, but grew up in Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, very briefly in Hawaii, and then most of my childhood was in Canada, and then returned to, and then spent a long time as an adult. I spent a long time in the U.S. Going to school and working, and I have returned to Canada. 2019? I returned to Canada.
Too heavy to carry.
Lived in Saskatchewan, and then came back to BC. And I'll probably be here for a little bit longer. Hopefully longer. Yeah, let's see here. How about you? Where are you from? Canada, elsewhere. West Coast, East Coast, Australia, New Zealand, Austria, Belgium. Where are you from? I will also throw in the bio here. Here's a longer bio of what I've been up to, who I am. My short version is I'm a writer. I'm also a former computer games programmer, a longtime TLD player, and a big D&D nerd, both as a player and as a DM. I'm a published author, 2 books of poetry. I also, lately, last few years, I've been working in opera, writing libretto, which is basically the story and the words for contemporary opera. And I just finished up a library science degree at UBC, British Columbia. Most of my hours in the game are now all like interloper runs. But when I started playing, I played the story, I played Wintermute, and then I played a lot of Stalker. I played about 700 hours of Stalker. And then took a break for a while and then came back and played a little bit more Stalker, and then was watching people stream and decided I would make the leap to Interloper, which felt impossible, but I decided to do it. And now I have, that was like 3 years ago or more. And now I have, probably over, how many hours is it now? Let's do the math here. So I am currently at over 3,680 hours in the game. So that means that I'm almost, not yet, almost at 3,000 hours of Interloper. So I'm probably around 2,800 hours of Interloper. I've never played a game for as many hours. Like, not even my hours in Skyrim come close to this, so. There's someone over here.
Needs this anymore.
Actually, technically, we don't need it either. figures. Cabin fever's coming down. Let's see here. Don't have any meat on us, we just have guts. Oh, here comes a wolf. I took the shot because I knew the arrow would break. This way we kill off the wolf and we save our arrow. Okay.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
I don't think we missed anything here, right? Yeah. Right. Empty these. I was like trying to remember where the rabbit pelt came from because there are no rabbits on this run, and then I remembered it's because it came from the summit. Okay. Do we need any more water? I think we should make more water.
Come on, little fire.
Okay.
I can barely walk with this much gear. I need to find a place to rest.
Okay. Let's do some risky stuff here. So going back to the topic of personal style, I realize like for casual, I really have just super casual, which is like I said, graphic t-shirts, which are usually RPG or cat related. And then I do like to wear a suit, shirt and tie type situations, but you can't do that all the time. And a lot of the jobs I've held, it really didn't make sense to be that dressed up. So then I really didn't have a middle, right? So that's what I've been trying to work out. How to look like not a teenager. Oh, we should update this since we did find ourselves another thing of crackers. We're at 5 crackers already. Five crackers and we're on day 42. We had a long 40. It was a long day. Oh, and I think we probably killed that other wolf now, so... Wolf kills... 5. Did the wolf not die? Maybe we have to go outside to see him die.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Or maybe despawn because of the... Because we went inside? I don't know. Yeah, there he is. Dropped off. As we stepped outside, he registered. Yeah, when I was at the thrift store, I was also looking for older, like, Life magazines or similar type, or sometimes National Geographics. I've been wanting to get this collage project, a couple art projects done this summer. And I got started, but I'm looking now for just interesting figures to cut out, and really didn't see anything. I'll try again later this week. I think we have our... Actually, let me double check that. Hold on a second. Who tried to call me? That's weird. Someone tried to FaceTime me and I don't recognize the number. Now I'm curious about the area code. That's Los Angeles. I'm suspecting it's probably a misdial. That's random. Yeah, I don't see anything in my emails that indicate someone tried to book time with me. Weird. Guess I'll follow up tomorrow and find out if it. I mean, the phone number traces back to a legitimate person as opposed to looking like something that was scammed. But I don't know anyone who FaceTimes like as their first call to someone. That seems a little weird.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Right? Am I wrong? You went FaceTime a stranger? No, we haven't been inside here before. Guess we were deterred by wolves. Or we were in a rush to go forge. Oops. You know, it is an interesting thing about living in our times, is that just because technologies have been invented doesn't mean that they are actually used. Like, there are some things that have been invented that we really don't use. And the one I'm thinking of most specifically is this one's kind of wild.
I'm not gonna be able to carry this load for much longer.
They, back in the 2000s, someone invented the technology to reproduce smell as part of your game experience. There was a peripheral that would produce, like, based on signals that it received, it would reproduce the smell of the environment you were in. This seems a great idea on paper until you realize where most computer games tend to be set. And that's in, you know, role-playing games often end up in sewers. And sci-fi, you know, ones tend to have like exploding aliens to deal with. And there's often burning flesh and other things. None of this you really want to smell, right? It's actually a good thing that we don't smell things in the game. It's a level of immersion we really didn't ask for, and someone tried to give us. And I remember being at the GDC, the Game Developers Conference, when there was a booth and someone was trying to promote this technology, and I kept thinking, but I really don't want to smell any of those locations.
luck with this much gear.
Where are we going to camp out so that we can actually... Should we go back up to the plane crash? Oh, and the best thing about the smell technology, it was being marketed as I smell. It's like, and so they were giving out t-shirts that said I smell. I was like, To a room full of game developers. Yeah. You could say it was a little bit too on the nose. Okay, you can hate me for that one. That was terrible. It wasn't scratch and sniff. They actually, the signals would activate a device that would then mix kind of a palette of, chemicals to produce different smells. It was a clever idea, but I mean, it seemed to have limited application and wasn't really thought through in terms of how much immersion people really wanted when it came to smell. Like the Long Dark does a fantastic job of, immersing us in sound. Yeah, it was a different type of vaporware. Yeah.
Come on, little fire. Come on. Oh, yeah.
Oh, we already have a pair. These ones are better. No, they're light. We'll keep them for now. Okay. Oops. Okay, we're not thirsty right now. So eating the potato probably makes more sense. Still got cabin fever risk.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Spooks so easily. I don't think we have the bear here. I've not seen him. Uh-oh.
Come on, Loper. Come on, Loper. Come on.
Well, yep, the wind changed. Okay, we're good. Still 42. Down to 15%.
I'm not gonna be able to carry this load for much longer.
Okay, I don't need these.
If I don't rest soon, I'm gonna faint. barely walk with this much gear.
Oop.
First aid soon.
We have so many of these. Doesn't really matter.
Come on, little fire.
Still 17 minutes. Hmm.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
Okay. Still early. Yeah, I'll probably do that soon. Could go on for a little bit longer, but I also, I don't know. Could use a relatively early night. Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting tired.
Okay. Yeah, we might finish up. Still waiting to hear back on the poetry submission I sent out last week. It's a little early, but they do tend to get back pretty quickly, so here's hoping.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
$44. Our next stream will not be Thursday. It may be Friday. Or it might be tomorrow night, honestly. We'll see. Maybe we'll go Tuesday, Wednesday, and occasionally Fridays. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and no, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and occasionally Fridays. Unless I start another game on Saturdays. These guys are cured.
This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
So I could make pants or boots. Which would be more useful? Pants, I think. Boots. Boots would be the smallest increase in we'd gain mobility. Yeah, I think we do the boots. We need more food though. Oh well.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Okay, we're day 44. We will pick this up again probably tomorrow night, I think. Okay, so let's do a little reading. Something from a friend. Okay, we'll read something from Amy Neskumatahil, or Amy Nez, from Oceanic. One-star reviews of the Taj Mahal, a found poem. Too bad it was man-made. As a standalone attraction, I guess it's passable. But compared to the McDonald's at Celebration Mall, it's just meh. Not for Indians. Very tacky. There was no cloakroom at the South Gate. The garden is also very basic. Everything is basic. We were ripped off by asking local shopkeepers to hold our bags for us. You will be swarmed. Swarmed by street vendors and children. Swarmed by camels and parking lot goons and children and cheap cameramen and stalker tourist guides and camel children and footwear thieves. So mind your belongings. It's just an old love story. But is it love or hate? I was told to get out my selfie stick. Don't even think about seeing it under a full moon. Can you believe this tomb has no rides? Anyways, one-star reviews of the Taj Mahal. She's got such a funny, weird way of looking at the world, and she always brings humor, a little bit of optimism, always compassion into her writing. And I think it's a good antidote when everything else seems really dark and depressing, is to have poets out there who can still find things to write about that bring joy and wonder. So yeah, let's see what we get after. I don't know. Lately I'm all over the place in terms of what I want to read. I feel like picking stuff that doesn't show up in the generator that often and doing that. Okay, so this one almost never shows up in the generator, but I'll read this. This is from Lost Country of Sight, my first book, winner of the Philip Levine Prize in 2007, published by Anhinga Press. And this is a poem entitled Planting Tulips. It's pretty short. Before my father dies, I should like to dig once more in the back garden behind the old home where I spent so many summers, striking a rhythm with dirt clods breaking against the shovel's blade, pressed firmly to the earth. Should like to cradle each bulb in my stained hands, as if to bless it before burial or to peer into its opaque skin, wondering at the rough beauty of unseen roots. Then tamp down a small mound and pray for rain and wait for the slow green signs of birth. So this is actually written, it was many years actually before my father became ill and eventually passed away from ALS, from Lou Gehrig's disease. Long before that happened, I wrote this poem, and it was just kind of a reminiscence of some of the summers I spent in the backyard where my father would begin with some gardening task, recruit me to help out, and then shortly afterwards complain about his back, pull up a yard chair and have me do most of the labor. And so something about that, I kept thinking about, long after I'd left home, gone away for school, had been working for a while, I kind of reminisced about, like, even though it felt somewhat unfair that this was always the case, there were moments in which I was nostalgic, that I thought back to that simple task of just digging, breaking sod, turning things over, and breaking down the earth so that we could plant in there, and then make these little mounds and water them. So this was, at the time, something of a throwaway poem. Like, I thought, it's kind of an interesting, reminiscence. And then by the time I was working on the manuscript, in that year where my father was sick and we were caring for him, and I was, finished the MFA and trying to turn that manuscript into a book, shortly after he passed away, and I was in the final stages of revision and writing for this manuscript, I went back and I saw this poem, and I thought, this was never a throwaway poem after all. It actually fits within the universe of the rest of the poems. And it has that resonance with the other poems. So that's how it found its way in. I think that often happens, that we say things or do things and we don't recognize in the moment what their significance is until years later. And then we think, how did we know? How did we know in that moment what was the significance of that? We didn't. But we remember that now. We suddenly see it in a different light. So, yeah. That was Planting Tulips. Okay. So yeah, let's get back and figure out who we can go raid. What is Blades doing? Blades is doing insane difficulty day 20. I'm kind of curious what insane difficulty translates to. Oh, this is the pure outer Nagoa. Okay. Okay, we'll drop in on Blades. We'll see how CJ's doing. Okay, so hopping over. Okay, thank you all for hanging out. Thank you, those of you who will join us later and watch us on YouTube, or catch us in recap, or post-stream, or whatever we call that. You can come and find us. I'll be back, I think probably tomorrow night. We're going to try to finish up this challenge this week. And I will know more about my schedule going forward by the end of this week. But for now, we know we'll be most likely available tomorrow and possibly Friday. We'll see. Okay. Take care, all.